Hello all, I'm happy to see you've clicked on my videos once again. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to not my garage, but my bedroom where I have lazily decided I would film today. So I've got a bit of a fun story today, and then a bit of a fun video for you as well. So feast your eyes, first of all, upon this beautiful sight. That is 9 Thinkpads, early to mid 2010 era, from just giving you a general overview. You know, my guess is 2012, 2013, around. And my good friend, Chris, has handed me all of these, and Chris is the same guy who helped me with my Sun Microsystems 220R, which I must say I'm still thinking about. I've not forgotten about that. I know some of you were particularly interested in that, and I'm really happy to hear that you're all interested in it. Seriously, as interested as I am in it. But I haven't been doing that recently because it's been stressing me out. Some more problems arose with it after I got it to fire up. I will give you maybe a small update on it sometime later down the road, just to catch you all up. But anyways, back to the topic at hand. Once I get a big lot of laptops like this, or any type of computer, there's only one thing to do but test them. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be testing them, seeing their spec, writing it all down, all that stuff. So I guess, yeah, without further ado, I suppose let's get started, eh? Okay, so first up on the list is this, let's see here, it's a ThinkPad T420S. That should be running a second, maybe third gen Intel chip. I don't entirely remember what generation that was. Well, none of the charging lights are on here. Let's just... Oh no, there it goes. Okay, so it just doesn't show charge light. That's weird, but okay, whatever. So here it is. And I guess I should have gone into the BIOS, but that's okay. I actually do know the logon to all these computers, as I was told to log on. It's incredibly secure, trust me. It's one of the most secure passwords you could ever set. Oh my god, is that the Apple loading wheel? That's kind of funny. So I was told that there was some distribution of Ubuntu on here, but he said he forgot which one it was. Oh, Linux Lite. I'm not sure if that actually is Ubuntu, but whatever. So, oh yeah, that's actually quite nice, yeah. I mean, this is a perfect sort of distro for this laptop. Okay, I've got my trusty, old and rusty, just kidding, it's like 5 years old, HP laptop. So I can type all the info into here, so I know this one is, first of all, I think T420S. So let's find out the spec of the machine. So first of all, it's got a weird bumpy texture on it. That's kind of strange. The trackpad, I mean. Let's see here. My computer, maybe that'll show it. Oh no, this is that's just a file browser. Alright, well, it's probably in settings then. Okay, well, I can't find anything at a cursory glance of how I could find the spec, so I will take to the command line, the terminal, whatever you want to call it, and we'll do it from there. So let's see here, cat/proc/CPU info, I believe is, yep, that's the command for getting your CPU info. So let's see here, we have an Intel Core i5-2520M. All right, I like it. That should be a 2-core 4-thread, most likely. Yeah, so that's a 2-core 4-thread, 2.5 gigahertz. Okay, and I also want to figure out how much RAM this thing has. Now, I remember there was a command to find that, but... Oh, hey, it shows it right here. So we have 8 gigs of RAM. Yes, I love to see that. A lot of laptops from this time came with about 4 gigs, which really isn't enough today. But if you have 8 gigs, you can have a lightweight system easily. And you can do everything from web browsing to even light gaming. So I'm glad to see that's in here. Now, I'm going to flip this laptop onto its behind for a sec and see if there's a battery in it. Because I got a couple of spare batteries. And what I realized was, well, it doesn't, some of these laptops don't have the batteries inserted for whatever reason. But here's an interesting thing I notice. And I know it's a little dark to see, but there's no CD-ROM drive. And that's because there's actually a second battery in this machine. So I bet if we let this charge up, we'd have a decent, an actual, like, decent battery life on here. That's pretty cool. I definitely approve of that. I wonder if it'll show me anything about battery. I think the command line can show me battery stuff. But I think it requires a package. So let's see if that's installed. Yeah, okay, so we do have ACPI package on here. So yeah, and it detects 2 batteries. So the first one is at 8%, probably because we just plugged it in. And battery 2 is at 0%. So I'm guessing it charges the first battery and then the second battery, but not both at once. So that's pretty cool. I've always wanted to have a laptop that had multiple batteries in it, because I always thought that was the coolest thing. So I guess I'll have to, you know, just play around with this one. Well, maybe there's a couple of other ones with another battery in them. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Another thing I want to see is... Oh, that's interesting. We might have an SSD in this machine. 146 gigs is kind of a strange size, and it's pretty small. So I'm guessing it's an SSD, because big hard drives, not expensive at all. Small SSDs, not expensive. Big SSDs, pretty expensive. But since it's small, I'm assuming it's an SSD. And there's got to be a way to figure that out. So first of all, 146 gigs is kind of a weird size. But if I listen closely, I don't hear a hard drive in here. So let's see if this is just partitioned strangely. So I'm going to run an fdisk command. I think I need this sudo for that, and I know the password. So we have SDA1. Okay, so this is somehow 149 gigabytes. That's very interesting. Ah, but yes, Intel SSD, yeah, no, it's an Intel SSD. Now that's interesting. I forgot Intel even made SSDs. But that's quite interesting. So I'm gonna write that down, that this machine has 2 batteries and Intel 150 gigabyte SSD. Yeah, 150 gigs is a really strange size for an SSD, but Intel was there in the early days, so I'm assuming that's just what it has to do with. Alright, so I'm going to shut this laptop down, because I believe I've gotten everything I want off of it in terms of info, and we are going to move on to the next one. Okay, that was pretty quick. Oh, look at that. It does have a charge light. It's just only on the back. Well, that's good to know. So I'm going to put this in the tested pile over here. And I'm going to grab the next one, which, let's see here, which one is this? It's also a T420S. Does it have a battery? Yes. It's got a second battery, too. That's quite cool. So we've got multiple ones with 2 batteries in them. That's very interesting, if you ask me. But very cool, because it means Chris, who was in charge, I think in charge of getting these laptops, probably was a very cool guy for doing that for his team. Okay, T420S number 2 is up and running. So I'm expecting this is probably the same spec as the last one. So first of all, let's see if it detects the 2 batteries. Yes, it does. It has 8 gigs of RAM. It's got seemingly an SSD again, but let's just check. All right, I gotta present it with a password. Yeah, 150 gig SSD, very cool. cat/proc/CPU info. And we're probably going to have the same CPU in here. Yes, a 2520M. Okay, same spec as the other T420S down there. So let's shut this guy off. The battery seems to hold a charge as indicated by the fact that ACPI up here noted that it was charging. Very good. Okay. Shut down. Now, I'm probably going to have to charge all these laptops at some point. I only have 4 or 5 chargers in here total. I was given a few with these laptops. I've got a few of myself, a few of my own as well. But I'm going to have to charge these laptops up because I know I probably want to test their batteries just out of curiosity, I guess. So that's laptop number 2, good and tested. Put it on the stack of tested T420Ss and grab the next one. What am I looking at here? We have, alright, we have a regular T420. It's a bit chunkier, a bit bulkier. Probably has a bit more I/O though than the S models. Yeah, it does. Alright, this one has a battery. It has a CD drive, so it's 1 battery. Let's just plug it in real quick. Alright. Charge light comes on, though it's green, so this one might actually not have a battery that functions properly. Let's just try one more time. Yeah, so it's blinking as if it's trying to say, hey, the battery's not working. So, it might be toast, this one's battery. I will say, I do have a couple of batteries, and one of them will fit in here, so if we have a spare battery, we could try that one. But yeah, the one in here is most likely not particularly happy. So let's hit the power button. Okay, and here is Linux Lite, though it seems to be slow. So I'm assuming this is running on a hard drive, or it's slower than this, than these 2 T420S laptops. So I'm assuming it's running on a hard drive. We have 8 gigs of RAM. That's good. That's good. That's good. I like that. Yeah, it's a higher capacity. It's 300 gigs, which is still kind of small, but for 2012 or so, that's still somewhat believable. In 2009, my mom bought a laptop with a 320 gig drive. So 3 years later, that's a bit small, but I could honestly see it personally. So I guess we'll check what FDisk has to say about it. Let's see here. Yes. Western Digital, WD3200. That doesn't particularly mean it's a hard drive, but given how slow it is, I'd say it is, though just to be sure, I'll check the model number online. And yep, that comes up with a WD Black hard drive. So we are running on a hard drive. Let's check the CPU. And see what comes up. Looks like we're running a 2520M again. Okay, got all the info I need from this one, except for one thing real quick. I want to see if this laptop... Battery 0, charging 97%, 47 seconds until charged. Maybe this laptop had some charge in it still. I I planned to test all of them and see if they had a charge in them still out of curiosity. I did forget with the last one and this one. If I unplug this right now, will it last more than 5 minutes, is what I want to know. Let's find out. Well, the battery somewhat works. It's definitely... It's doing what it's supposed to. I mean, whether that means it can actually hold a charge or not is, that's another question, but, or whether it can hold more than 2 seconds of a charge anyways is another question, but it's not completely dead. 98%, oh, it says an hour and a half is remaining. That's a realistic amount of time. That is a legitimately realistic amount of time, so I'd be willing to believe that this battery just happened to hold charge and was plugged in for a while and just wasn't unplugged until recently or whatever. Well, that's all I need, so let's shut off this laptop. Nope, I accidentally hit log off. Oh, whoops. Okay, so here is a Thinkpad T420S again. It has one battery, as it has the CD-ROM drive. So, let's get it plugged in. Charge light blinks again, and then turns green, so I'm assuming this should have a charge in it. So in that case, let's not even use the charger. Let's just boot it up and see what happens. Yeah, there it goes. This guy has about a bit of a charge in it still. So there's the post. PPM chips disabled on this one too. So I can hear in this laptop a mechanical disk clicking away in there. So yeah, so we have 8 gigs and a 150 gig. I could have sworn I heard clicks from a hard drive. Maybe it was something else. Let's see what fdisk says. No, it's an Intel SSD. Okay, well, then we have another SSD laptop. I'm pleased to hear that, personally. So it's another 150 gig SSD. Or maybe that's its formatted size, and we have a 160 gig, actually. So we have 8 gigs of RAM. And are we running another, another i5 2520M. And another thing curious about is how full the battery is. Oops. Go back down. No. Okay, so we have 36%, so it's not completely full, but it's got some charge in it. It somehow thinks that it's going to last an hour and 23. I really doubt that, given the battery is... wait, what? Okay, so the design capacity is 3,500 milliamps, and the last full capacity was somehow almost 4,800. Yeah, something's wrong with that battery reading, but the battery does appear to be working, so aside from that, that's all the info I need on this one, so I'll shut it down. Okay, I didn't check whether this one has 2 batteries by accident, so I guess I'll have the ACPI command do it for me. Yeah, we've got 2 batteries. Looks like this one's at 92%. And the laptop's not actually plugged in, so I'm curious to see whether it'll start charging at 100%. Though I'm going to be a little honest. It might take a bit to reach 100%, so if it doesn't do it in the time, or if this battery doesn't start charging in the time it takes me to figure out all the system info, I'm just gonna figure that out later. But yeah, it looks like we have 8 gigs of RAM, another SSD, and Let's see the CPU. I expect that to be the same. Yep, 2520M. So let's see. Yeah, it's not even, it hasn't budged at all, expectedly, because I've only had it plugged in for about a minute. Okay, so this is rather interesting with this next laptop. And I think it's a T430, it said, but something's concerning me here. It's had its battery pulled out. And at first I just thought, oh, they just kind of took it out, but now I think I see why. So we got this battery connector here. We've got this, this battery. Oh no, look at that. Okay. So I thought it was, I saw a couple of extra holes for some pins here, but these pins actually do line up. So the battery was just pulled out. Let's put that in there. So the laptop has a battery connected now, and let's see here. It's got a CD-ROM drive, so it doesn't have a second battery unless there's one somewhere else. So yeah, let's see if this T430 fires up. Where's the power button? There's the power button. No power. Yeah, as expected with a battery that's left to sit out. So let's plug it in. And now see if it turns on. Which it, yeah, there it is. There's the Lenovo screen. It's a different startup, which is interesting. They've switched over to a more simple, modern Lenovo sort of screen instead of that kind of Frutiger Aero sort of, oh, well, not exactly Frutiger Aero, but sort of, you know, 2008 looking BIOS screen. So this should be kind of interesting because I'm expecting that it will very likely be different hardware. It's not going to have the same i5-2520M. We're going to have some actual variation here because this is a new generation of laptop, so it probably has a 3rd gen chip in it. So let's open up a terminal and see. So we've got, yep, 8 gigs of RAM, some 500 gig disk. Let's see if that's an SSD or hard drive. My guess is probably a hard drive, but you never know. WD, yeah, that's probably a hard drive. Western Digital does make SSDs, but I'd be willing to bet that's a hard drive. Ah, 3230M. I had a Lenovo, not ThinkPad, but just a Lenovo with an i5-3230M in it for a while, and I used it for a few months in 10th grade a few years back. And I remember enjoying that laptop a decent bit because it was a bit more powerful than my last laptop, which had a 4210U in it. And I just remember thinking, oh, this is, it just has that extra little punch in it, and I love it. So let's see here. Did I type ACPI in here already? I don't remember what the output was. No, I didn't. Okay, so let's type ACPI. Yeah, so we've got a battery that's going to take 22 hours to charge. Okay, so what I know can happen with these batteries is if you unplug them while they're below 0%, which is something that can happen, they will freak out and think, oh no, I'm defective, and then they will never work again. This comes experience of somebody who works with ThinkPads. So I'm going to put this one off to the side and leave it plugged in, because I'm not going to risk it thinking that the battery is no longer functional. But yeah, there's one battery in there, and it's alright because I've got another charger that I can plug into my power strip. Okay, next up I've got a ThinkPad T430S. I'm just taking a quick look at it. It's already got 2 batteries installed in it. And because that's got it's all plugged in now, I should grab a different charger. Okay, but first of all, before I plug this laptop in, the tradition must continue. I mustn't forget with this laptop, does it have a charge? Hey, it does. I like to see that. So yes, this laptop and its 2 batteries have charged. We've yet to see one where the second battery had a charge in it. So I'm kind of curious to see whether that battery is holding anything in it or not. So first thing I'm going to check is that battery, because it's kind of interesting. Oh, interesting! Oh, this has 16 gigs of RAM in it. Oh, that's really cool. Okay, so this one's going to be a little different, because I don't know how easy it is to see. It's not too easy on that, like, this tiny phone screen, but hopefully it's easy when you're watching on a bit of a bigger screen. That this has 16 gigs of RAM, and it's also got itself an SSD, one of the Intel 150 gigs. So yeah, let's run that ACPI command, and aha, yes, battery 0 and battery 1 are both charged up completely. Oh, that's really cool. See, I really have an interest for things that I like, that are just like interestingly strange. You know, 2 batteries in a laptop. Wow, that's a lot of power. I mean, you'll run for hours on that. That's great. That's crazy. I have a compact Armada from 1999 or so, maybe 2000, that has slots for 4 batteries on it. And if I were to ever find those 4 batteries, you bet I would load that thing up with all 4 batteries and hope that all 4 of them work, because that'd be the coolest thing ever. Anyways, I digress. So let's take a look at the processor. So let's see here. We are looking at a 3320M. Okay, so that's a bit better than the 3230M, if I recall. Just a bit better. So yeah, we've got 2 batteries, an Intel SSD, 16 gigs of RAM, and an Intel 3320M. So let us shut this guy down and move on to our eighth laptop. So our second to last laptop is this ThinkPad T520, which is like I guess the 15-inch version of the T420. Maybe there's some other differences though. So let's see if it has a charger in it first of all. Yes, we do have a charge. Oh, things are getting interesting already. Oh no, the laptop turned off. It might be out of battery. It's probably, oh yeah, the battery light is flashing here and it just turned off again. So let's plug it in. Let's be nice to it and just let it charge up instead. It probably has been sitting for a good amount of time, so for the battery to be nearly discharged is not very surprising. But the fact that it had some charge in it means it's, you know, working. That's a very normal thing for a battery to do, is to... Ooh, oh, that's interesting. We have Ubuntu. Oh, let's start it up. But yeah, that's a very normal thing for it to do, I suppose, is to... Oh no, we do have Linux Lite, so yeah, that's Ubuntu based. Yeah, so it's a very normal thing for a battery to do, so for it to turn on and then shut off because it's low, and then keep on turning off and shutting off, so I assume this battery probably works just fine. It's nice working with a nice big 15-inch screen, though very clearly it's still running at 1366 by 768, so I guess even though it's bigger, they decided, nah, let's keep the same pixelated resolution. Which is whatever, honestly. So we have 8 gigs of RAM, I'm assuming another hard drive, but I'll check. Oh, no, we have... never heard of this brand. We have an Edge SE847-V solid-state drive, so we have a 500 gig SSD in this machine. Decent. Very, very decent. That's wonderful, honestly. Okay, so we have 8 gigs of RAM, a 500 gig SSD. Let's see if what that battery's saying. Yeah, so it's got 3%. It's going to say it's an hour until charged. That's about expected, given it was shutting off, so it's, you know, almost dead. But let's see here. What else? We also should check the processor. So cat/CPU/ or no, not CPU/ proc/CPU info. So we're looking at, well, let me guess. It's going to be a 2520M. Yep, 2520M. Alright, I'm going to write all that info down. Okie dokie. That's all the info I need from this. So I'm going to shut this down and set it to the side. Okay, here's our last laptop. Another ThinkPad T520. So let's see if it has battery. Yeah, alright. I wonder if the battery's flat like the last one, though. Probably. One good way to see if the battery's low is by looking at the back and seeing if the battery's flashing brown/orange, which it isn't. It is green. So I assume this has at least a semi-decent amount of battery in it. Okay, so here we are. ThinkPad number 2. Now, first thing I'm going to do is check on that, 4 gigs of RAM. Yikes. That's the first one with only 4 gigs. But that's alright. I got 8 with 8 gigs, so it's alright. So we also have a 300 gig drive. I'm assuming that's a hard drive. But before I check on that, I want to see the CPU. So yeah, so we have a 2520M, not surprising. I also want to check on that drive. It's probably another Western Digital drive. Hard drive, I mean a WD Black. Let's see here, though. Oh, it's a Toshiba. I know Toshiba makes SSDs, so I guess I'll take a look. I don't think it is from how slow the OS loaded up, but you never know. Yep, that is a 320 gig hard drive, so I was correct on that. Let's check on the battery. We have one battery. Oh, it's at 6%. Yeah, I think I'm going to plug it in real quick, just in case. That's a little better. Well, you know, this is kind of interesting, because I was expecting to find another laptop without a battery, because I've got this one for one of the S model laptops, and it's just kind of just thrown in there, I guess. So I guess thank you, Chris, for the extra laptop battery. If I ever need that, I guess that's around. So I'll put this off to the side, and well, here we are. All the laptops tested. And for anybody who wants to view the list of specs, I've been writing them all down in this notepad document. Let me just get my camera in a position. There you are. There's the list. Now I guess this would be a great time for me to talk about what I am doing with all these laptops. You know, I don't just hoard computers. I mean, I do, but that's not why I have these. I have these laptops because I like to donate them to people in need, my friends, my family, coworkers, and, well, charities themselves. I don't just keep them around for the sake of keeping them around all the time. I mean, yeah, I do look over there and in there, but, you know, I get rid of these things, too, and I give them to people, because the thing that motivates me to collect all these things is that I know that someday we're just going to have mountains and mountains of unused laptops sitting around that are perfectly good, and I guess to an extent we already do, but I want to get as many of those old laptops back into circulation so that people in need of a laptop, you know, who've been searching but just can't afford one, or whatever the circumstance is, or even if you can afford a new one but don't need a new one, you know, whatever your reason is, I want to be able to give these people a laptop. So I've been donating to people, I've been giving to charities, like I said, and I'd like to give a big thanks to Chris again, my donator. He's probably given me about 50 and maybe 40 at least computers at this point from the business where he works, and he's been a huge help, because he's been like he's really into this idea I have that I've been executing and doing, and I'd like to show more of this process. I really enjoy doing this, testing out laptops, reinstalling Windows or whatever operating system, honestly. I mean, these all have a perfectly usable Linux slide on them. so maybe I'll give them out with that. But yeah, I enjoy it, but I want to be able to maybe show a bit more of it, you know, like how I go about wiping and donating to people. Suppose until my next video, I will see you all. Wish you all a good day. And as for me, it's 9:20 at night. I'm kind of tired. I think I'm gonna finish up and edit this video and upload it to y'all, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. So, if you're watching it when this video comes out, if I upload it tonight, have yourself a very good night. Otherwise, I hope you have yourself a very good day, or whatever time it is. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.